Okay, let's do it.
All right, here we are. Hey, everybody, this is Tribble here with you. I've got a very special treat for today's video blog, and that is the MLM attorney, Kevin Thompson. Kevin's a guy I've known for, gosh, probably going on 6, 7, maybe 8 years. I didn't keep track exactly. Kevin, I'll let you share your background and how you got to be really the MLM attorney. Let me preface it by saying that if I have a legal question surrounding the industry of network marketing or MLM or anything of that nature, Kevin is the guy that I pick up the phone and call. So someone you should absolutely know as you work to become or are a professional in this industry. So Kevin, talk about your background and how you got started, not only as an attorney but also in this space.
Well, absolutely. No, I appreciate the question, and thanks for having me on the Hangout. And yeah, you've been a very long friend, Ty. I mean, I think you were one of my first friends in the industry when I first started to kind of aggressively attack the space. So my baptism in the industry, it's sort of similar to my competitors. You know, it just sort of happens. Nobody goes to law school and says, I want to be an MLM lawyer. Right? We all go to law school. We want to be Atticus Finch and defend the little guy and win big victories at trial. And we all have these ambitions. But then life happens, and I found myself, I was actually in-house counsel to Orrin Woodward, who's was one of Amway's top sales guys. And without going into all the details there, that relationship with Orrin and Amway eroded. As you know, at that time period, there was a lot of people that left Amway because Amway was really tightening the screws with respect to some of its compliance practices. So when I was with Orrin in-house as his lawyer helping him navigate these issues with Amway, he splits, massive litigation ensued, and I learned a lot through that experience. I mean, a lot. And we hired lawyers all across the country in the litigation process. I actually worked with my competitors now, Grimes and Reese, and learned a lot about MLM law and what some of the issues are. So, long story short, Orrin goes to Monavie. I work pretty closely with Monavie's compliance department, and then there came a point in time where I just wanted to start my own practice. I wanted to get back to Tennessee, where I was from. I had a son at the time, still have a son, but my firstborn, and I wanted to go home. I wanted to build a business. Nothing against Orrin or that experience, but it was a job, and I wanted to own something, and I thought I could do a little bit more if I had some freedom and flexibility. So I started my practice without really knowing what to expect, how much demand there was for MLM law. And candidly, I was shocked. I mean, it turns out there's a lot of demand and very little supply. I mean, candidly, I tell people I've got about 4 or 5 good competitors out there, and I can rattle off their names right now. But that's it. I mean, there are some people that try to put their toe in MLM law, and they don't know what they're doing. It is a different space. You've got to be all in. You can't be a dabbler. You can't do MLM law and DUIs or criminal law. You've got to be all in. And that's me. I'm all in. I love the space. I love the products, the relationships. I love the challenges. I do put myself out there a lot because I communicate a lot and I talk about the problems very publicly. Nobody else does that. Because of that, yeah, I get some high fives and I also get kicked in the butt every now and then, but par for the course. So that's my story. Hopefully I didn't go too long.
No, that's great. And so you mentioned that you put yourself out there, and that's really, why I wanted to have you on this hangout is, there's something like 30 million people in the U.S. who are currently involved in network marketing as an industry, and hundreds of millions, over 100 million worldwide, and there's a fringe, what I call a fringe of companies that kind of operate not really as a true network marketing business, but kind of on the outskirts of the legal space, in my opinion. And so people out there looking for the right deal, they're looking for something that will allow them to take care of their family for the future, and a lot of times I think people are sometimes attracted to something that appears to be easier, even though it typically is not any easier. It might be easier for a very short amount of time, and then all of a sudden it becomes significantly more difficult, especially for people involved in some companies that have been, leaders gone after, which is a very interesting point. But talk about finding a safe company, and some of the things out there that are kind of on the edge of if I was coming to you for legal advice and saying, Kevin, what do I do? Where do I go? How do I make the right decision here? What are the things to look out for, and some of the things to look for in a company, perhaps?
Right. Well, that is the question. What you're asking is what separates a legitimate network marketing company from an illegal company. And the first thing I did when I started my practice several years ago was I wrote an ebook. And it's surprisingly, it's been viewed, I think, over 8,000 times or something, maybe 10,000 times, which is shocking because it's 90 pages. And the ebook was titled Pyramid Schemes, Saving the Network Marketing Industry by Defining the Gray. So because you have this ocean of gray separating good from bad, a lot of scams play in the middle. And that really hurts the credibility and the reputation of every company that plays in this sandbox in the industry. And so the point of the ebook was to say, look, we got to get better at weeding out the bad companies so the good companies can thrive in a better environment. So with that being said, what is the gray? Well, let me at least define that. We know that regulators want to see that the products have value. So let's suppose we sell a product that's $1,000 lemonade. Okay, we're selling product. Commissions are driven by product sales, so it appears to be legal, but come on, $1,000 lemonade, it's not a real product, it's a token. So we know regulators want to see customer sales. We don't know how much. We don't know if they want to see 30%, 40%. When they sue companies, they say they want to see 50%. So you've got companies out there with 5% retail sales, maybe even less than that. So your question is, it's very fact intensive. It depends on a number of factors. I guess where I always start with people is number one, pick a company that you love the product. If you don't love the product, if it's not something you need, run. It's not for you. Because if you do it because it's a clever pay plan, they pay out 70%. And it's got this juice that I can't stand it, but the juice tastes like money. So I'm going to get in the juice business. Don't do it. So you got to follow your gut instinct with respect to the marketability of the product. Number two, and then there's a whole lot of other factors that can go into this issue, but something else to look for is consumer safeguards. A lot of .coms, they don't have consumer safeguards. They're quick hits. So the new person loads up. There's a load phase where they spend between $500 and $5,000 immediately, and then it triggers some significant commissions, and there's no opportunity to get their money back. At least with hard goods, you can send back what you can't sell. Mm-hmm. Now, you can't recover the cost of building. You can't recover your business expenses. That's sort of a wash. But look, you're operating a business. There's risk. But you are protected somewhat in the inventory. So look for companies with really good consumer safeguards. I'd say those are two big things. I mean, I can go deeper, but let's kind of keep it there.
No, that's great. So interesting, because it seems to me that a lot of companies today that gain really big traction really fast don't really have a physical product in many circumstances. So you would suggest that maybe a physical product, if you're looking for the safest avenue, obviously a physical product is where you would lean towards. Is that fair?
Yeah, I've got to hedge a bit because I've got a whole bunch of .coms. Physical products, absolutely, they're very safe. Digital products, you better make damn sure that the digital product is truly what you want and the value is there. And with companies that I represent that sell digital services, I always recommend a 30-day refund policy. Mm-hmm. At least give people 30 days to try it out and to be made whole. So if they go all in, they buy all this stuff, make it easy for them to get out. A lot of times when you with these .coms, they pay commissions so fast that affects their ability to give refunds. So that's something to watch out for.
Yeah, certainly coming from someone who sells information products, digital stuff online myself, the refund is hard because you're relying on the honesty of that person who's buying from you in some circumstances. Because if it's a digital product, they could consume that entire digital product and 20 days later ask for their money back, or it could be still downloaded on their computer. So it's really, I guess trust kind of goes both ways. You're looking to trust a company, and the company is going, well, we need to trust you here too if it's a valuable, commodity for sure. So refund policy is a big thing. Let me ask you this. Let's talk about, we talked about what to look for. Let's talk about some of the big red flags. Some of the things that I've been writing an MLM blog for over 10 years, and you can kind of, over that time frame, you can see a trend of some of the things that work and some of the things that tend to get shut down. So give me your list, if you will, of the red flags that maybe you can look and go, maybe not 100% of the time, because you're an attorney, I respect that, but you can say, hey, you know what, this might be something to watch out for.
Actually, there are some flags that are so severe that, yeah, if the factor is present, it is something that's illegal. I'm going to rattle off 10 factors that are good, and I'm going to release this document later to help people distinguish good from bad. My thing has always been, if you sense a problem, try to solve it. And I'm sort of a blunt instrument. I mean, or precise like a sledgehammer. I mean, I'll do something, and it might not be perfect, but I'm doing something. This document that I'm about to release, it's me trying to help, because really there is a problem out there. These people keep getting sucked into these scams, and those of us that know better, those of us that can tell, we're not doing a whole lot calling them out. So I'm going to try to step my game up in that category. Real quick, good factors. Companies, now keep in mind, companies don't have to have all of these factors, but just these are some good things to look for. Clear description of product, you'd be surprised. Refund policy in excess of 30 days, we covered that. Trademark filings, which is interesting. Actually, people that spend a few $100 to protect their brand. If they're not protecting their brand, probably can't take them too seriously. Optional product purchase to participate in the plan. If you see a program that says you have to buy this to qualify for the bigger commissions, that's a problem, because what's motivating consumption is the pay plan, not so much value. Accessible contracts. There's a lot of scams out there, and you'll be surprised they don't have contracts. Well, you don't want to join a company if the terms aren't clear. Income disclosure statements. Companies know income claims are going to be made, so they better provide average earnings. Emphasis. This is where you got to trust your instincts, and you have better instincts than most because you've been in the space for a long time. But is the emphasis of the pitch on product value? That's really important, because if it's all about the pay plan, then that's the wrong motivation. And then, of course, comprehensive policies. That's the good stuff. Okay, so let me answer your question. You asked for what to avoid. If any one of these factors is present, run. These are the what I call the red factors. Revenue sharing enhanced based on how much you buy. Okay. Here's an example. Zeek Rewards. Zeek Rewards cracked the code. They sort of exploited this ambiguity in network marketing law. The idea was you can buy sample products. We'll call them products. It was bids. Sample products. The company will give out those products, give them away to generate customer activity, because the thinking is customers will take the free products and they'll buy more thereafter. And then as the company performs, they will allocate profit to whoever bought the most samples. Okay? Nobody was using the sample products. It was all, we can speak freely here, it was all BS. And that was a Ponzi scheme. So revenue sharing enhanced based on how much you buy. That's a problem. Any questions on that before I go to any other points?
And I think some of their language was fairly obvious in terms of they called it an investment a lot of times, didn't they?
They did, and your Ponzi schemes today, they're more sophisticated than that. But you're right, Zeke, they were the first ones, and they made all the mistakes, and yeah, they called it an investment.
That's a pretty clear like run the other way.
Yeah, that's a big one. And then they're like, well, no, actually, it's not an investment when they actually pay for lawyers, but
Yeah.
a zebra can't change its stripes.
No.
They put lipstick on a pig.
Yeah.
So that's an obvious one. This one's a little bit more subtle, but the ability to purchase multiple positions. Okay, so if you have somebody that says, hey, look, join in the matrix and buy 4 positions, and of course you got to qualify each position by buying product, that's not really indicative of a Ponzi scheme, but it's indicative of a pyramid scheme because people are buying product to qualify these positions. It's a game. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
Here's a big one that we're seeing now. So Zeke rewards, the more you spend, the more you make. The Ponzi schemes have evolved. Now we've got WCM, which has been sued by the SEC. We've got Telex Free, sued by the SEC. We've got Wings Network, sued by the SEC. You seeing a pattern here?
Mm-hmm.
And CyberKids, which was an online company, sued by the SEC. Heavy reliance on gifting in exchange for increased earning potential. So Telex Free is an obvious example. You've got, although they said they didn't do this, this is what happened, at least back with their older model. You bought a bundle of VoIP packages. I don't even know the terminology they used, but a bundle consisted of 10 accounts. You could give away 9 accounts. So you spent $300 and you could give away 10 different licenses. Nobody gave away the licenses. And the legal principle that needs to be discussed there is you can only pay commissions when there's legitimate value being exchanged, when there's a product sale, a true product sale. Does me, I don't know if that grammar's right, me giving away product, does that prove that it has value? Is that legitimate economic activity? Well, the regulators are saying no. So you see a program, and with CyberKids it was, I think, $1,500, and you could give away 4 licenses for a English learning platform. The SEC alleged that nobody was using the platform. Great, people could give it away, but nobody was giving it away.
Yeah.
It conceals a load phase. You're just trying to get as much money out of these people as possible. The story is, oh, well, they're going to be given away and used later. Well, they're not. That's a red flag. That's a red flag. And then there's one more, with it, and that's rewards allocated before the product's used. So that's Telex Free again. I buy a bundle of 10 accounts. I receive a commission immediately. Upline receives a commission immediately. Nobody ever uses the product.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
And let's go back for a second. You talked about companies getting sued by the government based on. I mean, here's the question that no network marketing company wants to be asked, if we're speaking openly here, and that is how much of your product is actually getting sold to an end user who is outside of the circle of distributors. Now, I don't know exactly where you stand on this, but I think there's legitimate circumstances where, I'm actually a participating in the income side of things, but I also am an actual customer of that product, right? So, for example, my monthly vitamins. I actually literally take those vitamins. I would buy them from somewhere. I might as well buy them from my company. I think that's a legitimate product purchase that moves to. I'm actually a retail person at that point, even though I made the sale, right? If that makes sense. But you mentioned something along the lines of 50% was a number that the government is looking for, and I mean, there's probably, unless you revise the model which I'd love to hear what you think about this, and create some sort of a requirement for people who are involved to show that they're serious about their business in one way, shape, or form, whether that's to recruit someone or make a certain number of product sales or something like that before they can actually participate in the income earning side of things. Is that where maybe we're heading as an industry, or what's your take on that situation?
Yes, that's a big one. So what we're talking about here is the gray that we discussed earlier, and it cuts both ways. We're not entirely clear as far as how much external sales activity there needs to be for the FTC to be happy. When they sue people, and that's a key qualifier, when they sue people, they say they want 50%. Now, the DSA, Direct Selling Association, sent a letter in 2004 asking the FTC to clarify, hey, look, is this really what you guys expect? The FTC said, no, this does not represent the general state of the law. So really, my opinion, based on everything I see and everything I've learned, the FTC is drawn to a program based on the complaints and based on activities in the field. And if it's a heavy hype culture, and if the complaints are high, there's going to be a problem. There's a couple of layers to what you've asked there. Number one, can distributors serve as retail customers? Can commissions be driven by distributor consumption? I think is kind of one of the things you were asking. The answer is absolutely. So the pyramid law, it's you can't pay rewards unrelated to product sales to end users. Okay, so if commissions are driven from legitimate product sales, which we discussed earlier, it's true, valuable product. If commissions are generated via product sales from end users, you're okay. Well, end users can also be distributors. Because assuming they're consuming the product for the right reason. Here's the challenge. It's a blessing and a curse. Network marketing is great because anybody can join. Anybody with $100 or less can join a program and have access to back office support and a product that they can go out and sell. That's amazing. That's what I like about the program. It doesn't discriminate. In my core, I believe that. Network marketing, in its essence, is a great method of distributing goods and services. And when it's abused, it's a train wreck. Train wreck. But the good thing is anybody can join. The bad thing, anybody can join. So what happens is people join just to save money on product. And case in point, my own wife did this. She was at a meeting with an essential oils company. Good company, great company. And I was intrigued by her thought process. She was explaining it to me later. She joined just to save money on product. And I said, Sharon, that's exactly the challenge that we've got. People join so they can save money on product, but yet the Bill Ackmans of the world, he's shorting Herbalife stock, and regulators, they don't count her volume as customer volume. You see the challenge? And but she's not building, she's not showing a plan, she's not recruiting, she just wants the oil. That happens all the time. So as an industry, we've got to sort this out a little bit. And what you're seeing companies do, to answer your last question, yeah, I think we're going to start getting away from this retail wholesale stuff. I think we need to. I just have one price. Look, if you want to be a customer and access product at wholesale, we don't want you to join. These are the prices. And that way you'll create clear distinctions between the two. Right now it's too fuzzy.
Yeah. Let's wrap it up with this. I took several notes, but one of the things I wrote down is this has got to be a big topic that you have probably hit a number of times, but I'd love to hit it on here, and that is income claims. You mentioned that companies better have an income disclosure because claims are going to happen, but what's the legality of income claims? How do you how do you define an income claim? I know that there's people who say, gosh, take a picture of you've got a picture of you standing next to your Porsche, that's an income claim. And I'm like, oh geez, I didn't even think about that. But Give us your rundown on income claims. You know, what's the best way to go about, you know, projecting what you've got as a result of an industry, but yet protecting yourself as well?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. So this is something that I feel is within every company's control, and that is their ability to educate the field on proper ways to make income claims. An income claim is where you talk about an atypical result, a result that can be achieved in the business. That's not average. So, for example, what you talked about, standing next to a Porsche, that's an image of success. The FTC says you're sending a signal that the average person can achieve that result, that the average person can buy a Porsche through the business. It's counterintuitive, but it's what they've said, it's how they think. So you have to provide an income disclosure. The disclosure needs to be in the same font or format as the statement that triggered it. So if it's in a video, you need to make it audio and visual. Usually you want to end the video with a good disclosure. And you need to disclose the average earnings. So anytime you talk about above average earnings, it's important to inform the prospect of what the average participant earns. Here's the drawback. The averages are always low because when you factor in everybody, majority of people, like my wife, for example, in that essential oil company, they don't build. So that brings the average down. So it's not real exciting to say, well, the average person makes about $300 a year in this business. But you've got to do it. And the rule is it's got to be in close proximity to the claim, and it's got to be clear and conspicuous. And so I've got a whole article on the subject. Actually, there's a part 1, part 2 series I wrote on MLM income claims. If you Google MLM income claims, Kevin Thompson, you'll find my stuff, and we did a lot of research on what's out there, and we give you some specific instructions as far as how to do it right.
Oh, that's great. So let me wrap it up with this, Kevin. Give us, I know you write fairly often about the industry. I know that you've got a document that you're going to be releasing in the near future. How will my followers be able to find all that great stuff from you?
Well, thanks, Ty. ThompsonBurton.com/MLM attorney, or just Google MLM attorney. I think you'll find me #1 spot. And subscribe to my newsletter. And every time I publish a blog, I distribute it to the list. And that's the best way to do it. So again, ThompsonBurton.com/MLM attorney, and subscribe. And of course, I've got a Facebook fan page. I'm pretty easy to find. I like Google Plus, but nobody else does. Yeah, I really enjoy connecting with people and leading the conversation. The reality is that the industry needs more leadership, and the DSA does a good job. They do what they can because they represent so many different companies. But the reality is these companies wouldn't proliferate and grow if those of us with a platform, you know, threw some punches. And Ty, I know you throw punches. You always have, and you're going to see me start throwing some as well because I'm kind of getting tired of it.
You know, it really protects an industry. It's so funny. Whenever I write something that's on the what I would call the negative side of any company, notoriously the comments are, "Oh my gosh, you're just bashing this company." When you write something that's positive about the industry, like the vast majority of my blog posts are on my site, you hear crickets. It's really kind of interesting. So people don't care if you write something great about their company. They might cite it, but you never hear about it. But then if you write something bad, boy, you're a company basher. But
but also the Google rankings. So whenever there's more negative articles, leads to more comments, which leads to higher search results. Yeah. And that's why a lot of companies, you know, it's really hard. It's an uphill battle for them. And you know, there's an anonymous author out there behind MLM, and he or she writes a lot of content. And I have respect for whoever is behind that site. But at the same time, as an anonymous author, nobody really pays much attention to the commentary. Yeah. I feel like it's whenever a company goes down, it was like, well, Behind MLM said that months ago. So they're not able to slow down the inflow of recruits. So if somebody with a face stands up and says, "Telex Free is a scam," just stop building it. I think that would really, at least I think it would help. So we're going to see if that's right or wrong.
Well, that's great, and we'll look at reporting that information that comes from you on MLM blog as well too, just to make sure that we continue to get your name out there as a true expert and someone I tremendously value. And again, thank you so much for doing this, as well as all the hard work you're doing to keep us all safe and sound in our beloved industry.
It's fun, and thank you. Thanks for having me, and I appreciate it.
You got it, Kevin. Appreciate it. And I'll put some links to your information here in the blog post below, as well as in the YouTube site. But have a great day, everybody. This has been Tribble, and that's Kevin Thompson. We will talk to you soon again.
See ya. Cool. So how do we end this thing? I think